60s changed everything. This was the golden era, the birth of the chopper, the dawn of the disc brake, and the rise of the Widowmaker. We are revealing the 14 icons that built the modern world. These machines are fast, dangerous, and worth a fortune today. From the bike that met the nicest people to the one that killed an industry. Number 14, Velocette Venom Thruxton. We start our countdown with the last great gasp of the British single-cylinder empire, the Velocette Venom. Thruxton was not a bike for the casual rider. It was a race bike with lights, built by a company in Birmingham that refused to compromise on quality or complexity. Under the tank sat a 499 cubic centimeter air-cooled single-cylinder engine that produced 41 horsepower. That might not sound like much today, but in 1967, it was enough to make this the fastest single-cylinder production motorcycle in the world. Back in the late 60s, this was a premium machine for the serious enthusiast, costing roughly $1,450, which was a significant sum. Today, collectors fight over them. A genuine Venom Thruxton in excellent condition can command anywhere from $12,000 to over $44,000 depending on provenance. If you've been here a while, you already know what Iron Pulse is about. We drop the essentials, old school, rider-made style, the cap, for long miles and windy days, the T, for the garage, the ride, and everywhere in between, the mug, for early starts and late nights planning the next run. No hype, just the mark. 20% off right now. Link in the description down below. The Velocette was a precision instrument for the British elite who wore tweed and goggles. Our next bike was a sledgehammer for the American working class, and it created the hot rod cruiser segment almost single-handedly. Number 13, Harley-Davidson Sportster XLCH. Before the Sportster became the entry-level Harley, it was the muscle car of the motorcycle world. Specifically, the XLCH, which stood for Competition Hot. It was the bike you bought if you wanted to beat Triumphs at stoplights. It was powered by the legendary 883 cubic centimeter Ironhead V-twin. This was a brute of an engine, made of heavy cast iron, pushing out roughly 55 horsepower. But the magic wasn't just in the engine. It was in what they took off the bike. The XLCH was stripped to the bone. To save weight, Harley removed the battery, the large fenders, and most of the creature comforts. It used a magneto ignition, meaning it ran entirely off the engine's rotation. If the engine stopped spinning, the lights went out. It featured the iconic peanut gas tank, which held barely enough fuel to get across town, but looked absolutely perfect sitting atop that narrow frame. In the mid-60s, this was one of the fastest accelerating motorcycles you could buy in America. It was raw, loud, and vibrated so violently at highway speeds that riders often joked about losing fillings. It also had a fearsome reputation for its Kickstarter. The Sportster knee was a common injury among owners who didn't respect the compression of that high-performance V-twin. But that danger was part of the allure. It was the original American bad boy, the motorcycle equivalent of a switchblade. In 1969, you could pick one of these up for about $1,600. Today, the Ironhead market is waking up, with prices ranging from $5,500 for a rider to over $12,000 for a pristine example. The Harley was loud, heavy, and brash. Our next bike is the exact opposite. It is quiet, physically tiny, and it sold more units than every other bike on this list combined. Number 12, Honda Super Cub. You simply cannot talk about the 1960s without mentioning the bike that met the nicest people. The Honda Super Cub didn't just sell well, it fundamentally changed how the world viewed motorcyclists. Before the Cub, motorcycles were seen as dangerous machines for outlaws, mechanics, and rebels. Honda changed the narrative with the famous slogan, "You meet the nicest people on a Honda." It was powered by a tiny 49 cubic centimeter air-cooled single-cylinder engine, making just 4.5 horsepower. It was unintimidating, clean, and impossibly reliable. You could run it on bad gas, forget to change the oil, and leave it in the rain, and it would start on the first kick. It became a pop culture icon, with the Beach Boys even writing a hit song about it called Little Honda. In the mid-60s, a brand new Super Cub cost roughly $250. Today, they are beloved collectibles, with early 1960s models in excellent condition, fetching between $3,000 and $5,000. We are looking at the icons of the past, but the prices are very modern. If you love vintage metal and want to see more classic countdowns that explore the history of speed, click that like button and subscribe. We are keeping history alive, one cylinder at a time. The Cub was for the masses who wanted transportation. Our next bike was for the connoisseur who wanted art. It was an Italian jewel that proved you didn't need a big engine to go fast. Number 11. Ducati 250 Mach I. Long before the Panigale or the Monster, Ducati was making single-cylinder masterpieces that punched well above their weight. The 1965 Ducati 250 Mach I was the fastest 250 of the decade, and it is widely considered one of the most beautiful motorcycles ever made. It used a 249 cubic centimeter air-cooled single, making 28 horsepower. That sounds low, but the bike weighed absolutely nothing, just 255 pounds dry. What made it popular among the racing set was its giant killing ability. On a tight, twisty road, a Mach I could embarrass 500s and even 650s. It was the first road-going motorcycle to break the 100-mile-per-hour barrier with a 250 engine, a feat that commanded immense respect. It featured clip-on handlebars, rear-set foot pegs, and that signature long, flat tank that allowed the rider to tuck in completely behind the dials. It was a purebred racer with a license plate, bringing sophisticated Italian style to a world dominated by oily British iron. Riding a Mach I was a visceral experience. The engine revved freely and loudly, demanding the rider keep the needle in the power band. It was fragile compared to a Honda, requiring careful warming up and precise maintenance. But the reward was handling that felt telepathic. In 1965, it cost roughly $800. Today, because so few were made and many were raced into the ground, a genuine Mach I is a rare prize, with values hovering around $9,600 and exceptional examples reaching over $12,000. The Ducati mastered the asphalt with precision. Our next bike created a new world where the pavement ends. It was the first true dual sport, and it brought dirt riding to the American suburbs. Number 10. Yamaha DT1. Before 1968, if you wanted to ride off-road, you had to take a heavy street bike, like a Triumph or a Harley, and hack off the fenders, swap the tires, and pray you didn't break the frame. Then Yamaha released the DT1, and suddenly, the modern Enduro was born. It featured a 246 cubic centimeter air-cooled two-stroke single-cylinder engine that produced 21 horsepower. What made it so popular was that it worked right out of the box. It came from the factory with high fenders, knobby tires, a bash plate, and wide handlebars. You could ride it to the trails, thrash it all day in the mud and sand, and then ride it home on the highway. It was incredibly cheap, simple to maintain, and reliable. The two-stroke engine was punchy and exciting, lifting the front wheel with ease in the lower gears. It sold 50,000 units in its first year alone, launching the dirt bike craze in America and turning Yamaha into a household name. A rider named Mike sent us a mail where he reminisced the past. He spent the mid-60s trying to ride his heavy BSA Scrambler in the woods. He said it was like wrestling a refrigerator in the mud. Then his buddy showed up on a brand new DT1. Mike watched his friend fly over logs and climb hills that the British bikes couldn't touch. Mike sold his BSA the next day. It made off-road riding easy. You didn't need to be a mechanic or a fabrication expert to ride dirt anymore. You just needed a DT1. It was the bike that introduced an entire generation to the joy of sliding the rear wheel. In 1968, it cost roughly $580. Today, nostalgia has driven prices up, with good condition riders selling for around $3,700 and perfectly restored museum pieces reaching as high as $15,000. The Yamaha was cheap, accessible fun. Our next bike was expensive luxury. It was the Rolls-Royce of the 60s, designed for the rider who wore a tie under his leather jacket and demanded perfection. Number 9. BMW R69S. While the British were leaking oil and the Americans were vibrating bolts loose, the Germans were strictly engineering the future. The BMW R69S was the pinnacle of refined touring in the 1960s. It was smooth, quiet, and deceptively fast. It was powered by a 594 cubic centimeter air-cooled boxer twin, making 42 horsepower. What made it stand out was its supreme refinement. It used a shaft drive, so there was no greasy chain to adjust or replace. It featured the famous Earl's Fork front suspension, a leading link design that actually caused the front end to rise slightly under braking, completely eliminating front-end dive. This made the bike incredibly stable, especially when carrying a passenger or heavy luggage. It was painted in deep, lustrous black with hand-painted white pinstripes, a level of finish that no other manufacturer could match. It was the bike for the gentleman express rider, the person who wanted to cross Europe or America without getting his hands dirty or stopping for repair. It was expensive, costing nearly double what a Triumph Bonneville cost, but the quality was undeniable. It commanded respect wherever it went. In 1969, you would pay around $1,600 for the privilege. Today, it is a blue-chip investment, with average values sitting around $15,600. The BMW was sensible and serious. Our next bike was a movie star. It was the machine James Bond rode in Thunderball, complete with rocket launchers, though those were optional. Number 8. BSA A65 Lightning. BSA was the biggest motorcycle manufacturer in the world in the 60s, owning Triumph and producing huge numbers of machines. The A65 Lightning was their flagship twin, built to take on the US market with chrome, speed, and sex appeal. It featured a 650 cubic centimeter air-cooled parallel twin, making 52 horsepower. What made it popular was its connection to Hollywood. When James Bond rode a gold fairing-equipped Lightning in the movie Thunderball, firing rockets from the fairing, sales skyrocketed. But beyond the movies, it was a genuinely fast bike. It used a unit construction engine, meaning the gearbox and engine were combined in one case, making it cleaner and more compact than the older pre-unit models. It was known for its distinct styling, often featuring chrome tank panels and sweeping lines that looked fast standing still. However, like many British twins of the era, it had a vibration problem at high RPMs, earning BSA the nickname Bits Stuck Anywhere. Despite this, it was a capable 108-mile-per-hour machine that offered a slightly more civilized alternative to the Triumph Bonneville. In 1965, it cost roughly $1,300. Today, you can pick up a decent example for between $5,300 and $9,000 depending on originality. The BSA Twin was a classic design, but by the late 60s, classic wasn't enough. The world wanted more cylinders. Our next entry was the first British superbike, featuring 3 cylinders in a sound from heaven. Number 7. Triumph Trident and BSA Rocket 3. These were sister bikes released in 1968 to fight off the impending Japanese invasion. They were the first mass-produced triples, and they offered performance that was years ahead of the traditional twins. Both used a 740 cubic centimeter air-cooled inline triple engine, making 58 horsepower. What made them popular was the sound. That 3-cylinder howl is distinct, addictive, and unlike anything else on the road. These bikes were fast, very fast. They dominated the racing scene in the early 70s, winning the Daytona 200 and the Isle of Man production. TT, the BSA Rocket 3 had the wild ray gun mufflers and blocky styling, while the Triumph Trident was more traditional with upright cylinders. They were smoother than the twins and pulled like a freight train from low RPMs. They represented the pinnacle of British engineering before the industry's collapse. They proved that the Brits could still build a missile capable of nearly 120 miles per hour. However, they were expensive to build and complicated to maintain compared to the incoming Hondas. In 1969, a Trident would cost you around $1,750. Today, they are undervalued compared to Bonnevilles, with prices ranging from $4,700 to $8,600. The British triple was fast, but civilized. Our next bike was pure, unadulterated terror. It earned the nickname the Widowmaker because its engine was faster than its chassis, and it didn't care if you lived or died. Number 6. Kawasaki H1 Mach III. In 1969, Kawasaki decided they wanted to build the fastest motorcycle in the world. They succeeded. They also built one of the scariest. The H1 Mach III was powered by a 500 cubic centimeter air-cooled 2-stroke triple. It produced 60 horsepower, which was an insane number for a 500 at the time. What made it popular was the speed per dollar ratio. For under $1,000, specifically $999, you could buy a bike that would destroy muscle cars at the drag strip. It could run the quarter mile in 12.4 seconds. It hit like a sledgehammer when the power band kicked in, lifting the front wheel effortlessly in the first 3 gears. But the handling was atrocious. The frame was made of mild steel that flexed under load. The drum brakes were woefully inadequate for the speed, and the weight distribution was rear-biased. There is a legendary story from a drag strip in 1969. A guy pulled up on a Mach III next to a brand new Chevy Chevelle SS muscle car. The Chevy driver laughed at the skinny little bike. The light turned green. The Chevy roasted its tires, but the Kawasaki exploded off the line in a cloud of blue smoke. Riding a Mach III quickly required nerves of steel. It would wobble in corners and shake its head on straightaways. But that danger made it legendary. If you rode a Mach III, you were fearless. It smelled of two-stroke oil and danger. Today, collectors are paying huge money for that adrenaline rush. A good condition, Mach III typically sells for around $12,200, with pristine examples fetching as high as $24,000. We are halfway through the legends. From British twins to Japanese widowmakers, these prices are all over the map. Which one of these would you put in your garage? Tell us in the comments. We read every single one. The Kawasaki was a high-pitched screamer. Our next bike was a deep, rumbling torque monster. It is often forgotten, but it was arguably the best British twin ever made, produced by a factory that was slowly dying. Number 5. Royal Enfield Interceptor 750 Series 2. While Triumph and Norton got the glory in the sales, Royal Enfield quietly built a 750 cubic centimeter machine that was faster, smoother, and better built than both of them. The Series 2 Interceptor used a 736 cubic centimeter air-cooled parallel twin, making 52 horsepower. What made it superior was the engineering. Unlike the vibrating Triumphs, the Enfield engine came from the factory with a dynamically balanced crankshaft. It was remarkably smooth for a parallel twin. It also featured a massive oil cooler and a wet sump design, making it more reliable on long highway runs. It could run 12-second quarter miles right out of the crate, making it a legitimate performance bike. It was the gentleman's superbike, understated but devastatingly effective. Tragically, it was the last gasp of the original English Royal Enfield factory. They went out of business shortly after the Series 2 was released, making these bikes incredibly rare. Those in the know treasure them for their build quality and torque-rich delivery. In 1969, it cost roughly $1,400. Today, a Series 2 Interceptor is a rare find, with values averaging around $10,700 and top-tier examples reaching $26,000. The Enfield was the end of an era. Our next bike was a warning shot across the bow. When Honda released this black bomber, the British laughed at it until they saw the taillights disappearing into the distance. Number 4. Honda CB 450 Black Bomber. In 1965, Honda built a 450 cubic centimeter twin. The British manufacturers looked at it and said, "It's too small. Real bikes are 650s. Then they realized this small bike had dual overhead camshafts and made as much power as their big engines. It was officially called the CB 450, but everyone knew it as the Black Bomber. What made it popular was the technology. It was the first mass-produced motorcycle with DOHC, tech previously reserved for exotic race bikes. It featured torsion bar valve springs instead of coil springs, allowing it to rev higher and faster. It had an electric starter that worked reliably. It was oil-tight. It was smooth. It topped out at 102 miles per hour, proving that Japanese engineering wasn't just for small tiddlers anymore. They were coming for the big boys. It changed the perception of what a performance bike could be. It wasn't about displacement, it was about efficiency. It forced the British industry to wake up, though it was arguably already too late. In 1965, it cost roughly $1,000. Today, the Black Bomber is a cult classic, with good examples fetching around $7,200. The Black Bomber was impressive, but some said it lacked something. Our next bike had that something in spades. It was voted Machine of the Year 5 times in a row. Can you guess what the something is? Number 3. Norton Commando 750. Released in 1967, the Norton Commando saved the British industry for a few more years. It was low, sleek, and featured a revolutionary frame design. It used a 745 cubic centimeter air-cooled parallel twin, pushing out 58 horsepower. What made it popular was the ice-elastic system. British twins were notorious for vibrating excessively, causing rider fatigue and cracking frames. Norton solved this by mounting the engine, gearbox, and swing arm on rubber bushes, isolating the rider from the shaking. At idle, the engine danced around in the frame like a living thing. But as soon as you opened the throttle, it smoothed out into a glass-like ride. Combined with the stunning fastback styling and huge torque, It was the ultimate British roadster. It was the bike the cool kids rode. It handled beautifully and had a top speed of 115 miles per hour. It was voted Motorcycle of the Year by Motorcycle News for 5 consecutive years. In 1968, it cost roughly $1,500. Today, a Commando is a staple of any classic collection, with prices ranging from $7,500 to $13,600. The Norton was the best of the old school. Our runner-up is the Icon. It is the silhouette that every child draws when you say motorcycle. Number 2, Triumph Bonneville T120. This is it, the most famous British motorcycle of all time. The T120, Bonneville defined the 60s. Named after the Utah salt flats where Triumph set speed records, it was the aspirational bike for an entire generation. It featured a 649 cubic centimeter air-cooled parallel twin, making 46 horsepower. What made it popular was the perfect combination of style and handling. It was stunningly beautiful with its two-tone tank, chrome fenders, and twin-amal carburetors, but it also handled brilliantly. It was light and flickable, dominating flat-track racing in America and café racing in London. It was the bike of Steve McQueen. It was the bike of the counterculture. If you owned a Bonneville in 1969, you were the king of cool. It wasn't perfect. It leaked oil. The electrics were managed by the Prince of Darkness, Lucas, and it vibrated. But none of that mattered. It had character. It felt alive. In 1969, you could buy one for around $1,200. Today, the demand is massive, with prices for excellent examples ranging from $13,000 to over $25,000. The Bonnie wasn't reliable, but it was romantic. A writer named John told us about a first date in 1969. He picked up a girl on his T120. They were roaring down the coast when the headlights suddenly died. Total darkness. Instead of getting mad, they pulled over, sat on the grass, and watched the stars while the hot engine ticked and cooled down beside them. He fixed the loose wire by moonlight. He said, "If I had been on a Honda, we would have just gone to the movies." The Triumph gave us an adventure. Do you like this video? Click that like button, and if you want to support us even more, become a member. Have early access to the newest videos. We are at number 1. The bike that killed the British industry, invented the term superbike, and changed the world forever. You know what it is. Number 1, Honda CB750. In 1969, Honda dropped the bomb. The CB750 was not just a new motorcycle, it was a revolution. It was the first modern superbike. It offered performance, reliability, and technology that no other manufacturer could match, all for a price the average worker could afford. It was powered by a 736 cubic centimeter air-cooled inline-4 engine, making 67 horsepower. What made it popular was everything. Before this, 4-cylinder engines were complex, fragile things reserved for race bikes like MV Agusta. Honda put one on the street and made it bulletproof. It had a front disc brake, a first for a mass-produced bike, offering stopping power that embarrassed the British drums. It had an electric starter that actually worked every time. It didn't leak oil, it didn't vibrate. It went 125 miles per hour and then idled perfectly in traffic. There is a famous story of a die-hard British bike mechanic taking a CB750 for a test ride in '69. He was used to oil leaks, vibration, and constant tinkering. He started the Honda. It hummed instantly. He rode it to 100 miles per hour. It was smooth as glass. He pulled back into the shop, put the kickstand down, and placed a coin on its edge on the engine case. The bike idled, and the coin didn't fall over. He looked at his boss and said 3 words that defined the end of the British era: "We are doomed." It forced every other manufacturer to adapt or die. Dealers at the launch event famously gave it a standing ovation. It was the moment motorcycling shifted from a niche hobby for mechanics to a global pastime for everyone. In 1969, it cost $1,495, a massive bargain for the performance. Today, early Sandcast engine models are incredibly valuable, sometimes fetching $65,000, while later diecast models sit in the $15,000 to $35,000 range. Click the next video to continue the road trip. Join our tribe by subscribing. And if you want to support our channel and have early access on the newest videos, become a member. And don't forget to like this video.